Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara,
I'm Tiffany.
I'm Ron.
and we are back today with another recap of Raising Kanan. Today, we will be recapping episode 4. This one was titled The Way We Were. But before we get started, please make sure you guys tap in with us. Make sure you're subscribed with our channel. Click that notification bell and the like button. All of those things help support our channels. And of course, if you tell your friends and family to hop onto the Spot Real Talk, that helps as well. So we are really excited to get into this episode. We got a lot to talk about. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop in to this conversation. A lot went on this episode. This kind of felt like a filler episode leading up to something bigger.
Yes, indeed.
And so I was kind of like, okay, they setting us up for something. Obviously the family is still kind of dealing with the fallout of hearing about mom's cancer diagnosis. We can talk more about that later on. But of course, Marvin and Rock are also dealing with the fallout of their business kind of getting destroyed last week with Sonny and Richard. And so they get Tremont together. You know, Marvin is trailing Tremont. He gets him, and they're asking for his heroin connection. And of course, they have bad blood with Tremont, so they trying to even the score on that one. And Rock is basically trying to set herself up as a supplier, so she's making a lot of moves, trying to get ahead of all the nonsense that went down last episode. But of course, Unique. What are we gonna do about Unique, man? He just keeps foiling her plans.
Well, unique is job number one, and I don't know. For me, I think it would be smarter for her to try to find out who's hitting her up like this, because no matter what you do, unique is going to be your ghost, and until you can catch up with him and deal with him, no matter what you do, he's going to be one step ahead of you because he's a ghost.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to reveal himself now. He kind of stated that to early, but as of this episode, he's kind of only revealed himself to one other person. And I didn't catch the guy's name. Did you guys catch his name? The guy that used to be
Damon.
like
Damon.
His
Damon.
name is
Yeah.
I'm
Damon.
sorry. Okay, Damon. Yeah, so Damon was, previously, one of the guys that ran the drug business, and obviously Unique was saying we got something in common. Rock stole both of our businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's kind of going along with this theme, this episode of we got a common enemy. You know how they say the enemy of my enemy is my friend? He's
Yeah.
he's deep in that this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so Unique and Damon go in and hit up the Chinese spot again. This time they're at the warehouse and they shooting everybody up. Of course, that kind of spooks them, and they're like, "Okay, we don't want no parts." And Rock is still trying to clean up the fallout. That she's trying to smooth things over, pay them off, calm them down, let them know that they, got their eyes and ears to the street, trying to figure out who's behind this. But as Ron said, as long as Unique is remaining a ghost, they will never find him because they don't have a reason to suspect that it would be him.
And see,
No, but she go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. Well, I just wanted to say, didn't Damon take a bullet at the
Yeah,
warehouse?
Damon is
Yeah,
gone.
he's gone.
Damon
Yeah.
got Damon got iced at the warehouse.
Yep.
And the other thing that happened, you see, dude Terry was trying to get up out of there. He wanted to quit the business, and brother was like, "No, we're not." And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I think that put Rock onto game is that when Marvin tried to dismiss it as this is just a disgruntled employee, and Terry was like, "Well, our employees don't come back with guns and unalive folks." So he told Rock, he was like, because Rock was like, "Well, we know this guy
Mm-hmm.
and stuff, so we can find he used to run with us." But dude was like, "Well, he came with someone else," and I saw Rock's face, like it piqued her interest. So she like, okay, he was working with somebody. And so when they got outside, she was like to Marv, she was like, "We know Damon ain't smart enough to do this. So we need to find out who he was running with." So So the wheels are turning.
And
Yeah, they're turning, but she clearly doesn't have a reason to suspect him right now. Everybody think he's dead. So that was kind of like my point about that. It really is an advantage to him because he can do all this nonsense and nobody's coming for him
but like
because
to
they
me,
think he's dead.
and to me, if you haven't seen the body, at some point, I think now um, the puzzle begins to start to form because you got to think, why am I getting this heat right now like this? And
Mm.
then you start going back and saying, well, you may not suspect them. You may not have a reason to right now, but as you just said, Tiff, I mean, you got to start getting closer to what's really going on. And you got Damon. You said, well, Damon's not smart enough to do this. I know somebody is, but he's supposed to be dead. You haven't seen a body. You haven't heard anything else about, whether or not you haven't heard the news as to whether he was dead or not. So at some point, you might start thinking, is he, could it be, maybe, you
But
know?
remember last season, Howard told her that he was dead.
Yeah,
When she met up with Howard, he was
yeah, he
like,
did.
"No," nah.
Yeah,
He was like, "I saw the." He was like, "All that blood." He was like, he said, "Unique dead, yo."
yeah,
Yeah,
He
right.
so she got confirmation, from Howard. So
Mhm.
right.
and
And
he's a cop.
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of
He was
like
a cop.
Mhm.
yeah,
I
that
guess
that
that
kind of
would,
like cements that for her in her
yeah,
mind.
I guess so.
Um, but the thing is, Unique still ain't done
No.
because he goes later on and meets up with Teresa, who is Sal's widow, and he's on this same thing. We got a common enemy, and she kind of refers him to somebody that can help him get revenge. And so I'm like, okay, he got a whole lot going on his revenge tour, and Rock is none the wiser.
Well, Marvin, is he moving quickly enough to try to find out what's really going on? I mean, because she keeps telling them to put money out there.
Marvin
But
is distracted.
Marvin, yeah, you know what? That's exactly what it is. He's so into himself and what he plans, what he's doing for himself. He's really not giving it the attention it really needs. Um, and I feel for Marvin on that end too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing all of this side business with Sal. So we seen him.
Stefano.
I'm
Stefano,
sorry,
yeah.
Stefano, my
Mhm.
fault. With Stefano, he went to early and put out an opportunity, and I was like, "Here you go, getting yourself into deeper dirt with Stefano. You couldn't just leave good enough alone."
And what did Stefano tell him? He said, if things go awry, it's on you. And
Hmm.
can you really trust
He
Early?
said,
He don't even really know him like that
He
in my eyes.
exactly.
I,
And go ahead, Tiff. Go
I think
ahead.
he
Go ahead.
does. No, I'm just saying. I was saying that when I was watching it. I said this is a mistake.
Big
This is
time.
gonna be a problem because Early is playing both sides.
Yep.
Even if he doesn't want to, he did chastise Unique when he came about, unaliving the Richard and Sonny and stuff and everything. And he would challenge Unique and saying, "Well, Marvin's here. Go ahead and show your face."
Hmm.
And then Unique was the one that said, "I'm gonna stay dead a little longer and stuff." So he did challenge him to do that, but he ain't put Marvin up on game when he came out there. So I think one or two things are gonna happen for me, and I don't know this for sure. I feel like because Marvin has relations with Early and he pops up, he may see Unique leaving there. He might see him for himself, or Early might get a conscience. He might get a
Mm-hmm.
conscience and he might say something to Marvin, and Unique might unalive Early. I
I
think one of
Mm-hmm.
those two things are going to happen. If
I think Unique is going to figure it out that he's playing both sides of the fence, and
he got
because
to know,
Well, he
he got to know it. Marvin is there.
yeah, but what I don't think is what I don't think I don't think Unique believes that Early is as in with Marvin as as it appears. He doesn't really know
Marvin
that.
is popping up at his job. If
Yeah,
Marvin is popping up, they cool enough for him to
but
pop up.
that can't set with Unique. I do not see that setting too well. He's using um
Early.
Early, and it's well. Let me say this. I what I think is his technique is really good because he's using Early. He's allowing Early to do what Early is doing, but he's got to have a sense of knowing that sooner or later I'm coming for you because you're going to do my bidding for me, and then I'm going to take you out.
Well, I
Yeah.
hope Early is good with the books because if he ain't, then Stefano might take him out.
But see, that's
But you
the
know
other thing.
what? If listen, Unique was also working with Stefano. So what if Unique sees he figures out the plan and he could
That's my
sabotage it? He could
exactly.
sabotage it, and then next thing you know, Marvin is on the hook and everything in the Italians are after Marvin because he in the cut, so he can watch everything and he
And
can
he,
say like, so what he got you doing
hmm
or whatever.
Hmm.
He can figure it out, and he's in a position that he can sabotage it, and
and
it's gonna go wrong.
and
That's why
take
I was
out,
like, Marvin,
and he
why?
can take, and see, he could take Early out, and then go to Stefano, say, yeah, you still need some help. I hear your man is gone. I don't know how it would come up, but or at least Marvin would have to say something to Stefano. If Early winds up dead, Marvin's in trouble.
Yeah, I mean it's a whole lot going on that could possibly happen. We see that the FBI is now back on Rock's tail because Andre is dead, and now she finds out that okay, that's the reason he was answering my calls. She kind of is very dismissive of the FBI, puts them out the house or whatever, but that smells big trouble for her.
And that
Um,
and it goes back to what I said. I mean, every avenue is being tormented by this ghost. And the sooner you figure this out, the better you'll be. And, it's great. Huh?
it's tough for us as the audience to know what Unique is doing,
Doing, yeah.
but Rock don't know. Like she literally has no clue. There's no way she could have a clue that this is going on. And it's all because of Unique. And then it's interesting that old boy OC pops up alive and well after we seen him get jacked up by Unique last week.
Yo, watch OC in on it because I was like everybody that Unique has pulled up on that was associated with Kanan and stuff and Rock, he's taken out.
Yep.
Yep.
I ain't take out OC.
Mm-hmm.
OC is in on it. And I just thought about what Kanan said about when Crystal was saying something about OC, and that's what I was telling my son. I was like, how women and our intuition.
Hmm.
When Crystal was saying something about OC, he's like, OC, all right, he good with numbers, this and the other. I think Unique went in there, probably had some mercy on OC because he saw he was a dwarf. After he talked to him for a little bit and found out the dude was sharp and stuff, he probably was like, oh, this how I'm gonna get. And OC probably was already skimming off the top or whatever. Since he's good with numbers and everything, he
Right.
probably breaking Unique off right now.
Well, that's what Snaps said. I mean, Pop, what was it? Snaps. When he came to, give his dividends to Snaps, and Snaps says you're a little light. Maybe that's why he's light because
Mm-hmm.
OC is doing his thing. So,
OC is doing this thing.
yep,
Sounds like it. Yeah. So I mean, Unique he's very clever. He's hitting them from all angles.
that's my point. His, we said earlier that he's like out of it because he took that beating and so forth. But I mean, if a beating can make you this sharp, hell, maybe I can take a beating because he's he is moving like he's doing exactly what he should do, I guess. Uh,
Yeah, I get. I
just
mean, what can he do? But keep going and trying to claim his. He's reclaiming his time.
and the longer he waits, if she does become a supplier, wow.
Well, we seen her meet up with the gentleman this episode, and she was talking about her desire to be at the top of the food chain. She don't want no middleman between her.
Hmm.
Old boy was real dismissive of Marvin. Like, come back next time alone.
You did it like this, like talk to the hand. And
Right.
it made me think about OG Power because remember how Lobos, he ain't really want to deal with Tommy either.
Yeah,
He be
exactly.
like, no, no Tommy, no Tommy.
Yeah. And so Rock goes and meets up with him, and he kind of puts her in this car and sends her off to this hotel, which the car situation was looking real shady. I was
Oh,
like, this looked like a setup.
definitely.
Yes,
That's
yes.
what I
I
was
was
thinking.
scared for Rock for a
I
second.
was, she was
Yeah.
too. You saw her face. She
Oh,
was
yeah,
looking
you saw.
around.
Yeah,
She had this look on her face like, should I get in this car? You know,
you
But
don't
I
know
think
that.
she realizes that if she punks out, she's never going to get that opportunity again. So it was like now or never. And it seemed like the meeting went kind of well. The guy was letting her know, like, look, I only deal with people that are serious. And he was like, look, I'll be in touch. So it seems like she got her in. Her bravery paid off.
And can I say she looked amazing going to that meeting
Oh
too with
my
the
God.
ponytail,
Man,
everything,
I
and the
love the
fur,
snatched ponytail.
yeah,
That,
her
that
whole outfit,
outfit.
everything, her from head to toe. She was, and
She looked like a
that's probably
boss.
why he, yeah, she looked like a boss, and then she carries herself really well and polished and stuff. So I think that helped sell her too.
Hey, you can't be gorgeous and somebody turn you down. It's not happening. 'Cause, I mean, she was gorgeous. Okay, so
Yeah.
I have no, I have no hard feelings about my boy. He said I want I want her in my in my team as well. So
hmm But speaking of talking to the plugs, and you mentioned Snaps and Pop too. They kind of got into Kanan's head a little bit and kind of convinced him that he needed to separate his image from Rock's image because right now they tied together at the waist. And he's like, you need to really consider how you're going to be perceived from this point on. And they even throw him the alley oop and set up some meetings for him to go and talk to Quan and Stefano. Now, Quan, Kanan introduces himself and lets him know that, his business is his business. He's really trying to establish himself as his own man. And Quan's meeting went much better than it did with Stefano because Stefano was straight up like, your mother borrowed $500,000 to save you, and here you are going behind her back to talk to me. So I was like, that was very bold of Kanan to do. And all people at the top ain't gonna appreciate moves
mm-mm.
like that. It seems like a sign of disloyalty.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because if you do this to your mother, what would you do to me?
Mm-hmm.
And my other thing with it is, do you honestly think that Snaps and Pops are taking him seriously? I mean, you look, Ghost and Tommy had 50 to train. So everybody needs a mentor. And he could have a great one in his mom, but he keeps pushing her away because he thinks he knows it all. This is
Well,
just bad business for him. And I sometimes I just wonder, are they really taking him seriously?
it's a good question to ask. I think that they see that he is sharp and that he has a lot of potential.
Not when you come
But
up short.
well, obviously not when you're coming up short.
Well,
But the way that he established that business, the way that he really was a formidable kind of accomplice to Ronnie,
Mhm.
mm-hmm.
I think that they seen like, oh, okay, this kid, he's on it. And they seen how he set up his business with the couriers and whatnot. They're like, okay, like we
Yeah,
see you.
yeah, because
But he's still green at the same time.
He is. He still has a lot to learn. But Ronnie came to him. He ain't go
Exactly.
to Ronnie.
Well,
Right.
So,
right.
so that's what, like you said. So he saw something, and then he brought Kanan into the fold and everything. So I think they think that he has potential, and they want to show him the ropes. But it's like you said, the loyalty thing. But then I tell you, I was like, Kanan. I told y'all, I was like, Kanan is so ambitious. He gonna snake his mom and snake everybody
Mm-hmm.
trying to be the man, and it's gonna be a mess. Every time I think about that, I think about what he did in the first season with Buck 20, and I was like, he still ain't he still ain't fully learned that lesson. And then and I was saying to y'all offline, like the conversation that he had with Stefano, I was like, there's no way that I could have sat there and hear from Stefano that my mom had paid $500,000 to make sure that I got back safely and wasn't, unalive, and then I do turn around and do something like that to her.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
that's why, and I'm glad Stefano just sent him on his way. He said, "Hey, Stefano said, go. I don't even need to be bothered with you because that's what a smart person would do.
yeah,
I can't trust you if you do this to your mom. You
Mm-hmm.
need to go." So
Yeah.
and then another thing too that Snaps and Pops have to be very careful of. Rock doesn't like anybody trying to come between her and Kanan, and
True.
that that can backfire in a way that mm, doesn't set well with them.
listen, that can backfire with Rock coming after them. and Kanan already showed he disloyal. He might snake them too once he get to a certain level.
Yeah, hey.
As I said, Kanan, I feel like besides the other members of the family, besides Rock, I feel like anybody can get it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I would say about Quan, because like we saw how Stefano behaved, and Stefano sent him on his way, rightfully so. But Quan was smirking and stuff. Quan,
Yeah,
I think he liked the idea of coming in between because first of all, he don't respect Rock anyway. He don't like Rock. I don't think he
Right.
really want to work with a woman. Number two, and he don't like Rock. And then the fact that he could get in there and mix it up with Kanan and be in the middle, he was smirking. He want to cause trouble. So I was like, that's why Quan is agreeing to do business with him.
well, also I think he probably realizes he can take advantage of Kanan. Um, however way I think that it's kind of easy money for him with Kanan. Rock's going to give him a
Mm-hmm.
hard time, and that's what he sees with Rock. She's seasoned. She knows what she's doing. Kanan is still learning, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But what about this chick Imani? Was that her name?
Imani,
Yes.
yeah.
Imani?
So it seemed like everybody getting some wrenches thrown into their plan because
I don't.
Lou seemed like he was not, he really wasn't feeling Imani at all.
I don't trust her.
Rude.
I don't trust her.
I wouldn't trust her either. Anybody that the label sends over to be a kind of partner with you and
Right.
things, it's kind of like you gotta think like, okay, something's up. They
She's a
don't trust
watchdog.
me to do my job.
Right. She's a watchdog. And
I'm gonna say this: if y'all saw the trailer for the season when Stars first dropped the trailer, it looked like I saw if I'm not mistaken, I looked like I saw Lou and her in the bed.
and
So
you're
I'm
right.
like, so I feel like yeah, I think Lowell is gonna make them work together. I think that he gonna start catching feelings for her and stuff.
Well,
And
they had
mhm.
that little sit down coffee or whatever it was they were drinking, and I can already tell Lou was just melting a little bit at a time. He's like butter melting very slowly. And so, yeah, I can see the two of them in bed. And that's the reason I wouldn't trust her to begin with, because that's where she wants to be. She wants to get into his mind so she can do whatever it is that I don't know if it's Lowell or more her. It could be the two of them, but it seems like she's up to something. She wants something from Lou. And when I
He
say
wants something, all right.
not,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, other than that, but
Kryptonite.
right. Yeah, she's on the hunt, but she's okay. Yeah.
Well, if they do get booed up, I'll say this. I was happy to see a dark skinned sister. I'm just
Well,
say
yeah,
that
I mean,
because
Mm-hmm.
every
yeah,
time I see Lou, he's not,
yeah. I mean,
no
Yeah.
shade.
now we got two. We got
Love
Patina.
is love is love. Love is love. But I was happy to see this dark skinned sister look like
Mm-hmm.
he might
But I
be a
hope
love
she doesn't
interest
betray him though, because
for a mother. No, I hope not either.
yeah, because he doesn't
I
need
hope
that.
either.
He does not need that in his life. If she gets with him and then betrays him, who knows? That might send him back. So we don't need that.
Right. And
Right.
like I talked a little bit earlier about the fallout of like, whatever is going on with them emotionally after finding out the cancer diagnosis that grandma got. And, Kanan and Lou kind of had to sit down and they were kind of talking about how they each were affected. But Rock had the most explosive reaction at the very opening of the episode where she was kind of going off on moms and she was talking about the diagnosis and how she felt like when her father transitioned, mom basically said she was selfish. She didn't care about nothing that they had going on. She didn't show any interest in them or the kids. And so she was kind of really upset and was like, unforgiving of how mom brought them up. And mom tried to, explain herself and say, I was in a dark place and I felt like if I didn't take care of me or love on me, then who would? And so I was like, that was a super selfish take to
Mhm.
have, but at least she was like I'm not gonna say accountable, but she owned up
She was
to
she was
her
honest.
mistake and being
Right.
a bad mother.
She was honest, and I think that was a conversation that had to be had. If Rock gets free from this hatred that she has from her mother, I think that's the catalyst. They needed that conversation, and I'm glad to see that mom's, held her own, told the truth. She was truthful, and was, hoping that it could get somewhere. She stormed out. Of course, I expected that, but
Mhm.
maybe maybe something got in there.
Well, what's going to get to her is, first of all, she need to look in the mirror
Oh yeah,
because right now
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't have the best relationship with her own son,
there you go.
and for those reasons, like her mom was saying, she's trying to get it together before it's too late. She didn't want anything to happen. Same thing with Kanan. If
Mhm.
Rock don't get it together and get things together, it may be too late because you see the moves that he's making
Right.
and stuff. And so he has a real, I I don't want to say hatred. I don't know if it's there yet, but it's pretty darn close. And and so the stuff that her mother said to her should sink into her because she is in a very similar position with her own child right
Yep.
now.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
that's why I think when we do see grandma pass away, I think she gonna grieve the hardest because the way she's lashing out and she's already hurting stuff, she's gonna come undone. Watch.
Yeah. It seems like she really needs to settle that up because like her and Kanan really can't move on until she settles that with her mom. Like it's a lot of emotion. And I'm really surprised that no one else had really strong feelings like Rock did. And it seems like maybe they all have their own perception. Like I think they all agree that mom wasn't ish,
Mm-hmm.
but
Well,
I
boy,
think that the boys seem to have a softer spot for
yeah,
mom.
because it's moms and moms
I
and
don't think they
sons.
deal with her
And
because
but I think that they're not dealing with it from the emotional side, like,
Yeah, that's what I mean by that.
right,
That
yeah,
they're
they
not
not like
yeah, they
responsive in the way
right.
that Rock is.
No,
right,
well, yeah, Rock is tearing into her, but the way they're dealing with her is kind of dismissive, kind
right.
of
Mm,
Take it or
yeah.
leave
yeah. So I want to talk a little bit more now about Jukebox because
it.
she had a conversation with Crystal this episode and Crystal apologized to her talking about, how she got jumped and whatnot. And she tried to make light of it by saying, Juke killed her own or whatever. But I was like,
And she did.
nah.
Well, she did though. I mean,
Yeah, she did. But I'm like, something like that, you can't just try to dust off like it was nothing. Like
yeah.
that was major. I mean, she could have been seriously injured.
Oh yeah.
That was several people against one.
Yep.
Yeah, and they tried to cut her, as Juke
Exactly.
said.
Hmm.
She might have had
So
to. Juke might have had to catch fade with Crystal and been like, "Now we even."
right. That's what I'm getting ahead of this, but Crystal on my hands list for that. um but and Juke also seems very like skeptical about Crystal and whether she's using Kanan. She seemed like she was really questioning her, like, okay, so are you using him as your way out? Because Crystal had mentioned like she was in a bad spot, and I was like, that may not have been the right thing to say when you talking about somebody you interested. It did seem a little opportunistic.
And it is. I honestly think she is using Kanan as a way out. Doesn't mean that she may not have feelings for him right now, but yeah, let's see when he gets to be where he wants to be and she's with him. Let's see what happens. But I
Yeah.
honestly, I think Jukebox, she caught on to some things, and so she's gonna watch Crystal.
Oh yeah,
She's
yeah.
gonna
Hmm.
watch Crystal.
Yeah, but Juke also had an incident this episode where she was at the club. She visited last episode, and she was with the girl Mara and met a new friend. But Mara was kind of talking about how her family life sucks and how her husband is. Well, she didn't mention the
No, she
husband. The
didn't mention
husband
the
Right.
actually
husband.
just
She mentioned
popped
her
up.
husband.
Yeah,
First, she mentioned that her family life sucks, but when
right.
the husband popped up, we got to see just how bad it sucks. Because I thought she meant from like the perspective of maybe like being homosexual or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
now we kind of see that okay, she has this abusive situation because the husband straight up rolled up on them, tackled Juke to the ground,
Well, through her
and
actually.
dragged
Yeah.
Mara away.
And
Mm-hmm.
and and then when Juke said, "Are you married?" and she said, "Technically." Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. She said technically I'm married.
Uh,
Yeah.
Either you are or you're not.
Well,
And
she's probably on paper probably still married. That's probably what that means. Like she's legally married, but they probably ain't together.
so
Right.
why did Bro just snatch her up like that. So
because they
apparently he had
probably
a
still
problem.
possessive.
Well, he had a problem with, I guess, seeing her with another woman.
Mm-hmm.
So he may have had that. I think that was his main problem.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think that he might maybe be aware of
yeah, he's
her
got to be.
homosexual lifestyle or something like that, and maybe he's just not okay with that. And seeing Juke is like, oh, this is happening again or something like that.
Right.
So
Yeah,
he
because they
had
were locked
Yeah,
his
and
response was just like
he pushed
there
you.
was it was just like no kind of his fuse just went off. It's
Mhm.
like he had already seen something like that before.
Right.
So
He
when
might be a
Juke,
volatile person anyway. I mean,
Well,
just
yeah.
the way he was with, when we gonna get to that part with Marv,
yeah,
I was like, I think he's an abusive person anyway.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
I mean,
So
domestic violence is in that camp, but it's just a shame that Mara can't. Well, I don't. Well, hopefully we'll learn more as to whether or not she actively tried to get away, or is it she's there because she's afraid um, to take it for any
Gave
further.
Juke the address to that house.
Well, she sure did, and well, we'll talk about that. But hey, you know,
well, I was just gonna mention when Marvin seen her face and seen those bruises, I already knew it was
yeah, it
about
was
to go
done.
We
down.
knew it was on and
Yeah,
popping.
yeah,
He
it
was
was
like,
on.
he put hands on you. All you saw was his face.
And so of course Marvin being the dad that he is, they gonna do a drive. They're gonna stop by the house, and he goes up there. He told Juke to kind of like wait in the car. And Marvin goes up and checks the dude. And Marvin is in control for the first half of the situation. Marvin is basically like, he goes up in there, beats the guy up, got him laid out on the ground. And as Marvin is getting ready to leave, the guy kind of comes behind him with a knife and slashes Marvin's arm and overpowers him to the point where he's almost about to kill Marvin. He's about to like stab him smooth in his face.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was like, oh, this is getting scary because, we know Juke is in the car and she was listening to something on the radio.
He was looking at the time
She was
too.
looking at the
Yeah.
time,
And
right?
so, yeah.
Yeah,
And I was
she
like,
realized it went too long. So, and
Mm-hmm.
I expected that would happen. And it's a good
Mm-hmm.
thing. It's too bad he didn't take it with him in the first place, because
but
now now it's on your hands.
Juke got a body.
She got a
Juke got her
body.
first body. Streets
She
need a
got a
body.
body.
Yes. And so I'm wondering, we already know where the Jukebox story goes. How does this affect Juke? Like, does she start having nightmares? Does she feel guilty? Does
No.
she feel
She just
vindicated?
said
Did you
no.
see the smirk? Did you
Does
see
she
the?
continue down this path?
Oh
Like, is
my
it
goodness!
Well,
easier for her to kill?
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know when they were driving away and they showed her face. She had a little smirk, like almost like it was exhilarating, like a rush. I said, "Oh, she don't even feel guilty right now." I
Well,
was like,
The monster.
to me, it looked like a little fear, but then as they drove
mm.
on, she kind of,
At
had
first
this.
they were like that when she just said drive, but as they drove on, look at her face. Watch the
Yeah,
episode again. She's like,
yeah. I
it's a
think she
it's
settled.
a little smirk,
Well, she
and I
settled
was
in on the idea that he won't do tomorrow what he did, prior. So he's out the picture. Now,
I think it was.
question though, he's now laid up dead. There's the knife with obviously blood on it. You
Marvin's blood.
Marvin's blood. So I would imagine Marvin's not going to go to a hospital and have that taken care of. At least we
Mm-mm,
hope not,
mm-mm.
because
Kind
at
of
some
early 90s, so DNA ain't really popping like that yet.
yeah, that's midnight. Yeah,
Mm,
I don't
mm.
know. Well, they didn't have the.
No,
I
it
don't know.
might have been. It might have been
Because
early
I'm
because
like, if
DNA
they
it
touch
was late.
that knife and that blood and they
Yeah, he
pass to
did.
Marvin,
Yeah,
this gonna be yet another thing
Listen,
that they got to
Mar-
worry about.
Marvin has made a bunch of mistakes, like
yeah. He's
with Stefano early, and then now this situation. I mean, I don't blame him for defending Juke and
no.
stuff, but this definitely got out of hand.
Yes, they did.
Definitely got out of
Hmm.
hand at a time when they don't need the heat on that.
Yeah, for sure.
He'd have done
It's
better going up there pistol whipping him, but I don't know.
and we know
I'm
that
over the
Marvin
bridge.
wouldn't give Juke up. Like if he ever was to get found out
Oh
or the
no,
Oh
police
no,
was
no,
on his case,
no,
he would
no,
never give up Juke. So
no,
he would just
no.
absolutely.
take the fall.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely. definitely.
That dude was huge though.
Yeah,
Cause
he was a
so,
big
cause
boy.
you know, Marvin was totally in control of that fight, but that dude was tussling him back though, and
Yeah.
throwing Marvin and everything too. So
But
it was a tussle.
yeah, but you know, I figured Uncle Marv was gonna take him down anyway. I knew that. You know,
Oh,
Marv
we
could
knew that.
fight.
We knew
So
that. He was winning. He was in control. He was winning the
oh
fight for
yeah, he
sure.
was. He was.
But it made me think about the interview. And hopefully you guys have
Yeah.
checked out the interview with London Brown, aka Uncle Marv. But he said in the interview um, that, you know, that Marv is learning some things about Juke, that Juke is more like Marvin
Hmm.
than he thought. And I was like, so when I saw this episode, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, this is what he's talking about. Like Marvin, and she was quick to pull the trigger and protect her, her dad. And also in episode 3 or 2, when she first came home, we saw the way Juke was eating. You know how Marvin always be eating and
Hmm.
stuff too. So
Hmm.
he just said that some of the things, she's more like him.
But that was a great interview. And what was so funny to me is when London Brown said to you, she knows more about this than I do.
Yeah, so if you guys have not checked that out, hit
Right.
that interviews tab that we got on our playlist. That
Yeah,
one, it should be top of the list.
Mhm.
yeah. Look, he was trying to be careful because he didn't want to get no spoilers up
Right.
too.
No, but honestly, I mean the way he explained it, and it makes sense, he said, well, the way they shoot it out of sequence,
They
and
do.
the thing is, he says, I haven't just taken the time to really watch, to watch the show, so quite naturally, you had
Hmm.
a one-upsman on him, but it was so funny. But London is a comedic,
Yeah, hmm
uh,
He's hilarious.
he is.
And what was hilarious was, I know you guys probably saw it. We cut some of it, but Officer Green, shout out to Officer Green, was walking back and forth in the middle of our interview. I was like,
I mean, photobombing like crazy. I
Officer
knew. I mean,
Green, no. He hit me at one point. I said, we're interviewing, trying to get
yeah.
you out. But I'm like, yo,
And then she
We
finally comes up to London and puts her hand on him, and
he didn't know who he was. And the other security guard
yeah.
told her who he was. Then she came and was like, oh, he just told me who you are. And that's when I was like, we're interviewing.
Y'all gotta watch it.
Officer
It's
Green got
funny.
to get the hands.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
gotta
funny.
say,
You gotta
shout
watch
out
it.
to law enforcement and all that. But Officer Green, he gonna get these hands.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. You knew what you were doing.
Yeah, you saw us sitting there
Exactly.
conversing,
Mhm.
filming and stuff. We're talking, and I'm like, she really
Yeah.
walking back and forth and really gonna start busting it up while we're interviewing.
Crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
Funny.
But I mentioned who can get the hands. So besides Officer Green, do we have any nominations for who can get the hands this episode?
Kanan.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay, giving Kanan the hands. I can see that. I'm thinking unique.
I'm still
You
going with early.
early, I agree with you about early too, because
Hmm.
You
the
playing this?
playing to both sides. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
And
Nothing
I
good
don't know,
about
it's still Marv. I mean, Marv, look, okay, I'm on the fence because he came through for Juke like
He
he was
did.
supposed to and everything. But I just feel it was a bad move bringing early to Stefano.
Yeah,
It was. I'm giving Marvin the hands for that. He got to get the hands
yeah,
because
Hmm
he should have been done with Stefano.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Then
agree.
because he lied. And that's the other thing. You getting deeper and deeper. You lying to your sister.
Yeah,
And then now you bringing somebody else into the fold to work with Stefano when you ain't even supposed to be working with Stefano. I'm like, yeah, the hands.
Exactly.
did you
Yeah,
give
and
Kanan?
Yeah, I get Kanan.
yep,
Yep.
she
Okay.
just gave
Because
Kanan. Yep.
Kanan's being disloyal.
And I was gonna say Crystal for
Oh,
trying to laugh that thing off with Jukebox. I was like, nah, sis, that ain't it.
She
and we
probably
can go
did.
ahead and put OC's little butt on the
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
answers too. Because
something's up with OC. Yeah, something's
OC is a traitor.
You
Yes,
say
I
it's
can
true.
smell it. I can feel it coming. It's just like it's written
Well,
in
I
the
mean, look,
air. He
look,
just don't get away from unique like that.
let's face it.
No, that's what I'm saying.
OC has a lot of shortcomings, and you know,
No pun intended.
no pun intended. But or maybe so. But I mean, he's fighting, he's battling for his little life. So I suppose. Let me stop. Okay, I'm
Stop.
done.
You'll
I'm
get
done.
us in
I'm
trouble.
done.
All right, now let's talk about who can get the game ball.
Well,
Um,
I guess we got to give it to Marv for protecting his daughter. I like that.
I'm giving to Stefano for checking Kanan.
Yeah,
And like,
definitely.
be
Yeah,
on your way
yeah,
and giving him the talk that he should have gotten.
yeah.
Like, you're being disloyal to your mom right now. And
yeah,
I don't want no parts of this. So yeah, I'm giving Stefano the game ball.
I want to give the game ball to Rock in that ponytail and that fur coat.
Oh,
Mm.
I'm still on that. I
she
cannot
slayed.
get that out my head.
Hey,
She
look,
really bossed up in
She
that
slayed.
scene.
And
she,
the fur, everything, that whole entire look, even you know, the jumpsuit with the belt
Mm-hmm.
when she was
Yep.
meeting with him, I said, okay,
Yeah, yeah. Rock is a boss. She shows it in her demeanor, and it won her the position with the plug. So I'm like, look the role,
I'm not
and
even going to tell
sometimes
you.
that gets you in the door.
I'm not even going
Yep,
to tell you what I was thinking. So I'm, I'm done.
you probably don't want to
Well,
know.
no, you wouldn't want
Well, all right. So that's our game balls. I really enjoyed this episode. I think that like we said at the opening, it's a lot of breadcrumbs that's leading us up to something much bigger. And the tension in this episode, it's like it's so much. It's just a slow build. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they got for us next week for the mid-season episode because we already know the power formula. Mid-season, things take off and
to.
it's up and it's stuck from there.
It is. I really think because that conversation between Kanan and Lou, when they were asking about Famous and saying
Mm-hmm.
everybody's looking for him and the mom is worried and this and the other, I wouldn't be surprised if in episode 5, excuse me, we find out what happened to Famous or see him or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
I
because
think
they've
it's
been
a
hinting at
possibility.
Famous all season, and it's
Yeah,
like, okay, what's up with that?
yeah. I
So I
think
think you're right.
yeah, I think that's coming in the mid season.
So you think he's unalive?
I don't know. He, he
Last
may
we
be,
seen him, he was in police custody, and so it's
but
like
they said
he
he
got
got
out,
out.
and they
But he got
saying that
out.
yeah, he
And
obviously got out. But when people see that you've been in custody, and then all of a sudden you out of
They
custody, they
assume.
be like, okay, what's up with you? You ratting? What like what?
and
Yeah,
the rumor is he been talking. And
talking
here's the
anyway.
thing, like we got to worry about like where he is. Is he alive?
Hmm.
Did Rock do what she did to old boy? You know, one of Kanan's friend before. What was I forgot the dude's name again?
Not
That
Buck.
that
No,
she no not Buck the other dude that was Kanan's best friend. You
In
right.
know,
season one, yeah, I can't
yeah.
remember
So
his
I'm
name.
like, did Rock and Marvin get rid of Famous? You know, and not
But what
tell
would be the incentive though?
running them out if he's talking. You know, snitches they get them up out of there.
Mm.
That's why she unalived Scrap because she thought he was a snitch. That's why I'm saying I
But
don't
he was
know.
all Scrap was also in her organization. Famous really ain't involved with her in no way
And
outside of being Kanan's friend.
I can't see
Uh,
Famous just laying low though. I mean, no matter where he is, he's gonna
well, he's
find a.
scared.
He,
He's scared. He ain't built
well,
like Kanan. He ain't
yeah,
built
Or
like.
but
he
he's
could
out
be
there.
in LA with the
If
sister.
he's
Who
in
knows?
L.A.,
I thought that too,
because
but
if he's in L.A., there are a lot of mics. There are a lot of
I thought that too until Lou was saying, Lou said he was like, I thought he was in LA with Jess. He said, but Jess seemed scared too. And he was like, and this ain't like her to lie about something like that. So maybe he ain't in LA. And that's all I said. So I don't know. I think we can find out really soon where Famous is and whether he's alive or not and stuff.
Yeah,
So yeah.
maybe he's
looking forward to it.
taking
Hmm.
the place of Unique. Maybe if we go back to where Unique lay, his body laid, maybe we'll find Famous.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Well, we'll wait and see and find out. Yeah, we got a lot to look forward to. So, um, like we said, we enjoyed this episode. We want to thank everyone so much for watching this recap. Please drop down in the comment section and give us your thoughts on this episode, as well as any predictions that you have for the remainder of the season. Please also make sure you subscribe, click the notification bell, and that like button. Also, be sure to follow us on all major social media platforms. We are at The Spot Real Talk, so give us a follow. Tell your friends and family to give us a follow. And, make sure you are here tuned in with us every single week as we give you this amazing content. We always say you never know what we got up our sleeve, and you really don't. We might have something coming again. So that notification bell is going to be your best friend. Tiff, Ron, y'all got anything before we close out?
Nope. I think you've done it.
All right, y'all. Well, we are going to call it a night. Thank you so much again for watching, and please be back next time for a recap of Raising Kanan episode 5. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Now your life is like a movie, top down in LA. And you switching on your old friends, they just can't relate. Say that you can see right through me, but you're the one who's fake. Baby, I see what you're doing, but that just ain't the way. Now your life is like a movie, top down in LA. And you switching on your old friends, they just can't relate. Say that you can see right through me, but you're the one who's fake. Baby, I see what you're doing, but that just ain't the way. This just ain't the way, my baby, I could pull